Now serving your entree of sports and entertainment, the triple shot of Marcus returns. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Fish and Grits for the Culture. March 14th, 2018. How's it going for you fellas?
Man, it's a
Happy
beautiful day. I
Pie
just saw.
Day. Happy
Oh yeah,
Pie Day
man.
for all my nerds and blurs. 314 in this bid.
And RP to Stephen Hawkins.
And RIP to Craig Mack as well.
Yes,
Oh
sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
it's a brand new flavor in year. Man, that song used to go hard. What was another when he was featured
Used
on
to.
that?
You better bite your tongue, young man. That song still goes hard.
I
I
haven't
will
heard in a
still
while, so
turn
I
up.
can. Okay, you gonna pull out the '90s gear?
I will get the
Bum,
walking
bum,
cane and my
bum,
throwback jerseys out,
bum.
and I'm in that
Yeah,
thing, homie.
that man
In
said a
that
walking
thing.
cane. Turn up.
Can't get
Man,
it
let
the
him
way
do
that
it.
I used to. Don't you judge me. Don't you
Hey, you still
judge me.
got you still got the juice. Don't let him
You
down.
know what I'm
You
saying?
still got the
Still got my shiny suits. I still got my shiny suits, partner.
Man, so what's been going down on the TV tip? I know y'all caught that Jessica Jones.
Oh man, Jessica Jones.
What?
I haven't finished yet. I'm still on. I think I'm on episode 11. I want to say. Well, so far for the most part, I think it's a pretty fantastic series. If you want to be honest, there's a lot of people that's out there, as we talked about before, that are giving a negative criticism, saying it's boring, doesn't feel like a superhero show. There's a lot of
They're full of
melodramatic
shit.
bullshit. I believe so too, because I think it's been incredible, honestly. And if you want to be honest, it's one of the better written Netflix shows, just from a dramatic standpoint of what she has to go through, dealing with the issues, the internal issues that she's suffering with, and then dealing with the surprises that come up throughout the season. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen it. So there's a few curveballs that the season throws. So there's not truly a villain, but there's a kind of antagonist that kind of moves things along and it kind of fleshes her character out more. I really enjoyed the season. I don't know about Marcus.
I think the fact of what you just said, the fact that there's no clear cut villain, there's simply, in the classic sense of theater, protagonist and antagonist, kind of adds to the vibe. That makes this, in my personal opinion, the best Netflix Marvel series that they've ever come out with. I've said that since the first series, since the first season rather. I easily think that this season tops the first season. Like he said, it takes you on a nice little roller coaster. It's got some great curveballs that they throw in there. It's got a really good narrative. It's got great underlying themes, and it lines you up for potential surprises for what I am supremely hoping, but looks like is going to be a third season that they're going to end up installing. I'm psycho when it comes to stuff like that, so I binge watched it and finished it the first day. It's awesome. It's awesome to
I
me. I absolutely loved it.
I truly dislike, and I don't. I know I'm going to get grief for this, and I'm pretty sure a few people are going to disagree with me. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I dislike Trish's character so much that it makes it. It took me out of the season a little bit because she was her emotions or her motivations and whatnot seemed genuine at first, but then it became kind of forceful that it kind of took me out of the series until I got to episode maybe 9 and 10, when she started to when it started to be revealed on why she's feeling the way she is or so passionate about certain things that she's experiencing once you watch the season. So she kind of took me out of the season a little bit, honestly. I mean, I could chalk it up to a strong performance, or I could chalk it up to I just really didn't care what they were going with her character. I don't know how you feel about that. That's why I brought it up.
Well, no, I think that you're accurate with that, and I mean, for most people, that probably would kind of throw them for a loop because at some point early on in the season, she's kind of overbearing on the storyline. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, why do you keep forcing this bitch in my face?
Exactly.
That kind of thing. But as the storyline goes on, and especially as you come to the end of the season, it will all make sense.
Okay. So I can't wait to see that. I can't wait just to finish the season so I can see if I get a better understanding of her character. Because right now she's annoying the shit out of me.
But you also got to remember the key is in her name for all of the people that are diehard comic book heads. Her name is Patricia Walker.
Mm.
People used to call her Patsy for short, not Trish.
Hmm.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay, well, I can't wait to see that.
And then let's dig a little deep into this Bruno Mars controversy because it's a lot of people out there that's on one side saying that he's using the black culture to take advantage of the money market. I mean, we'll be completely honest. I mean, I'm not one of those that truly feel that way. I think that he's just creating his own music with a little bit of flavor. Yes, he's biting a lot of the classics, but how do you guys feel about it? Y'all have a big issue with it? I just feel like he's just an artist being an artist.
Personally, I don't have no problem with it because I think I brought up that I want to say I brought that up when I think before this last album. I don't remember. He had one of the popular pop hits that kind of caught wave or whatnot, and I was just like, man, when did Bruno get like soulful like this? And it seemed like he became the Jackson Fives. You know, there was kind of the stage setting that they were trying to sell, and I'm just like, when did Bruno kind of embrace this? I guess the pop thing kind of fell off, and it was easy for him to fluctuate and move into that soulful pop, I guess you want to call it, and kind of capture that. But I can understand how a lot of people do get offended about it because there's a lot of people that do that, from the Justin Timberlakes on down, that embrace that. I want to say that black soulful culture that a lot of us don't get enough recognition for, in my opinion.
I think that the situation isn't unique. It's not new. Like Grip said, it's something that's going on for generations. I mean, you can go back to uh, and again, this is basically a cultural appropriation issue, and it goes back to people feeling some kind of way about everything from jazz to rock and roll to R&B, pop to a certain extent, hip hop. Anywhere where there have been people of color, where there have been black people that have made strides or made innovations in the industry, it doesn't get as much recognition. It doesn't have as much success as it seems as when people of other races come along and do it. You can go through and you can have somebody like a Chuck Berry. You can have somebody like a Fats Domino. You could have somebody like a Little Richard, but none of them came close to the successes when some white guy named Elvis Presley came out and started gyrating his hips on the Ed Sullivan Show. Like it was just something entirely brand new and phenomenal. You can go through and look at it, going up through the 80s and stuff like that, for people that were around and alive and like witnessed it. New Edition was hugely popular in black households, but New Kids on the Block was popular everywhere. Huge difference. But they literally took the same format and drive and gusto and used it, and it kept going with the NSYNCs and the 98 Degrees and the Backstreet Boys and folks like that. You go through and you look at the classic, the most recent debate that we've had is the classic Justin Timberlake versus Usher. Similar in style, similar in talent. I personally am a huge fan of both, but I understand the argument. I understand both sides of the argument. At the end of the day, when it comes to a Bruno Mars, you have those people that are hardline, and they're of the mindset that he's using cultural appropriation to his advantage and making a ton of money. There's a lot of validity in that. There's a lot of truth to that. You have others that are looking at him and saying, well, okay, the dude's making good music. It's not like he's taking sole responsibility or acting like it's something that's brand new. He pays tribute to the artists that he gets his inspirations from and stuff like that. I get that side of it too. It just depends on what it is that you feel when it comes to the state of music, when it comes to the state of how much of our culture is represented in said music, if somebody from our culture is getting more recognition from it.
Can I ask you a question? I thought about this as you were talking about that. I think a lot of those people, the ones that you name, if you want to just, I'll talk about the last two, Bruno and Justin Timberlake. The only reason why I feel like they get the mass appeal or the whole, I guess, the more fan base than what your normal black people or would come out and get is because they have that type of appeal that it's always special to see somebody who's not of that ilk kind of succeed and kind of embrace it. So it's always from your like Bobby Caldwell, or if you want to talk about Justin Timberlake, just because he's white, it's more fascinating. It's like, oh, you never see a white person with this much flavor. So it kind of gives you that extra thing. So I kind of see why people kind of gravitate towards it in that way. Because to be honest with you, when Justin Timberlake first came out, the only thing I kind of or what I always said about him, what I liked is that it was a white dude, but he felt like he embraced the blackness, and it was just like this dude kind of put a little twist to it, and it was impressive to see. So that's the
don't
reason.
get me wrong now. No, I'm not gonna come at you from a standpoint of these guys are pretending to be black or anything like that. What they have is stuff that they've grown up with. Justin Timberlake grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. He grew up around blues and soul and black folks and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna knock him for that because it gravitates or it resonates in his sound and in his style of music. But going along the lines of what you just said, the question comes up then, which one do you reward more or appreciate more, the uniqueness of the situation or the original innovation that it came from? Because one of them is getting shortchanged.
That's
I agree.
fact, because when you throw out names like Prince, James Brown, and New Edition, and knowing that they don't have an Album of the Year Grammy, like that's pretty fucked up. When you see Bruno Mars biting off some of those guys, yeah, he's giving them props when he win the awards, but at the end of it, he's saying he put the Mars sauce on it. Just like you saying with Justin Timberlake put his list swing on things. So it's like
That's true.
You know, we're talking about a society and the culture that went through, and you go through and this generation's Thriller album, which I will gladly argue anybody about, Usher's Confessions didn't win Album of the Year. That was this generation's Thriller album. I'll say that to the day that I die. It's a diamond album. It's a diamond album.
Yeah.
My favorite song that caught up.
You go through and you look. Let's think about all of the Prince albums that have come down the pipe for this man to never win Album of the Year. Purple Rain, Under the Cherry Moon, Around the World in a Day, Parade. I mean, you know, original music.
Yeah.
The soundtrack to Batman, get the out of here. I mean, the list goes on and on. Graffiti Bridge. I mean, he's made such wonderful music over such an elongated period of time. But they gave him, what is it, the Hero Award or the Lifetime Achievement Award for his 1999 album. Some nonsense they just did recently. I don't pay attention to Grammys or Oscars or anything like that, so y'all have to forgive me if I'm not too fresh on it, but it just kind of helps for the scope of the conversation. I mean, as far as the folks that actually know music, the folks that actually appreciate music, the folks that actually, you know, get into that genre and stuff like that, it ain't 2 or 3 people that you can name over Prince at this point off total body of work, period. But it goes back to that thing. Okay, where's the validation at? What standards do you use to justify the greatness of somebody? At what point is it just becoming a bastardization process, an exploitation process? Because I mean, you have tons of record execs, which to me is where the real cultural appropriation exists, is with these corporations, with these record companies that will go through and they'll promote that because they know that it's a way that they can make a dollar. They don't care about the culture. They don't care about the soul or the passion that goes into the music. They just care about how many spins they can get, how many video pools they can get. You know, it's not something that they really care about, the culture or the heart or the drive of the music. They just want to put out whatever makes a fast buck. If that's the case, Nipsey Hussle wouldn't be a relatively unknown artist if people actually paid attention. I mean, let me not go there. Don't get me on my soapbox. I ain't even started on the hip hop shit yet. But I mean, it's one of those things. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing to me that you would go through and have people historically like a Tech Nine or as recently as a Nipsey Hussle largely go unrecognized or underappreciated or be looked at as a quote unquote underground artist. But you have folks that are nowhere near them on talent levels that are huge successes, huge stars as far as the quote unquote hip hop or rap game is concerned. That's a problem. People are always willing to go through and justify everything over dollar amounts. People are always willing to go through. It's kind of like the sports argument where you argue the actual greatness of a player and the first thing you come up with is rings. Well, I mean, rings don't always tell the whole story. You know, you can't tell me that Jay-Z is the greatest rapper of all time by just telling me that he sold a lot of albums. There's more to it than that.
Impact.
Yeah, I mean, there's more levels to it. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where you can have somebody like a Rakim who's widely acknowledged by most people as the GOAT when it comes to the rap game in a lot of circles. But if you look at his numbers, he ain't sold a whole lot on his resume.
Look at Lauryn Hill.
Got a whole bunch of out. Yeah,
she look at one of the greatest albums ever, and she only dropped one. So, and she still held as one of the greatest ever.
Yeah,
so
they throw her up as the greatest female rapper of all time, and people that do that need to be pistol whipped and thrown out in the street. But that's a whole different argument.
Oh man, we ain't
that's
getting that.
You'll never ever disrespect You will never ever disrespect all the female MCs that have come down the pipe by telling me a chick that pseudo rapped. She T-Pained an album, awesome album.
She
but
Drake
she
the
pretty much
album.
T-Pained an album. Yeah, T-Pain, Drake, whatever you want to call it. And now she's supposed to be the GOAT for female. No, player, I have an issue
Nah,
with that.
pimping.
But I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna
Leave
leave
it
that
alone.
alone.
Don't drive up the driveway today, Mr. Buzz.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be
Buzz
comfortable at the
coming.
house watching, NFL
Uncle
frenzy
Buzz
going on. You
rolling
come dropping bombs on like that.
24s.
That's we gotta call him before you get rolled up. Like, oh, Mr. Buzz, please, just roll.
Oh, he
Uncle
rolled
Buzz came rolling in on them 24s like
Yeah,
it was
bass was bumping.
1997.
That bass was bumping. I'm here,
I had
niggas.
8 woofers in the back, dog. I don't care about the back windshield. I put 8 woofers in the back. I don't care.
He was coming out
Playing that
clean.
Magic Mike. I'm on that hoe. I'm on it.
Oh, they might want to listen to you if you pulling up looking like that.
You know what I'm saying? On them things.
Little Hoochie's on the porch like, oh, who is that? He bumping?
Oh,
that
he's a
ain't Uncle
married
Buzz,
man.
is
Oh,
it?
step away. He's a
Okay.
married man.
But man,
Girl, you know his wife crazy.
nah, what was crazy was this OJ Law's confession.
Oh,
This
Jesus.
dude here,
Okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this one real quick. I'm gonna say my piece on it. I'm gonna let y'all have it because this is obviously a generational thing.
ain't no.
Let me just say this. No. Let me just say this, and I'll be done with it. Anybody over the age of what, maybe 30, that bought into this little clickbait confession special, shame on you. We saw live action when we went on and saw them fumble away this case in court in real life, in real time. We knew he did it back then.
I think everybody knows who did it.
We absolutely knew it back then, and it wasn't like he got proved innocent. The prosecutors just didn't do a good enough job of proving him guilty. That's it. Everybody knew he did it.
I didn't watch it, honestly. I didn't watch
He
it.
did it. I didn't need to watch it. I didn't care to watch it because I knew this fool was gonna sit there and stunt and get his weight up, get his ratings up, so he can start making more public appearances and get more autograph sessions and other stupid shit like that. Ain't nobody got time for OJ and the people that want to finance that nonsense.
Hey, I got this. I watch People versus OJ, so I'm good enough. So that was a good
The
deal.
only reason that OJ got a pass back in the day is that America was trying to give us semi-reparations for the way they fucked off the Rodney King trial. That's it.
Poor Killmonger. If
Hey, Auntie.
they could have saved him instead of OJ.
Oh, he wasn't about to be saved. That nigga said, "I don't want to be saved." He told you he don't want
Killmonger
to
is
be
not
saved.
dead. Killmonger ain't dead. He drinking Mai Tais in an
In
undisclosed
heaven,
location. In an undisclosed location. Guarantee you Killmonger will be back.
you think he gonna be back for what?
I guarantee you he'll be back. More than likely for Black Panther 2.
Okay, I put my money on that one.
Oh man, well, that's some strong words right there.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back.
Bruh, I will tell you off of his resume as a comic book character alone, there have been a million times that Eric Killmonger was allegedly killed in the comics, and he's always found a way to come back. Trust me.
That's the comics, and I know Marvel, and I don't think he coming back.
And Griff,
Or you know what? I'll even go to you one more than that. Do you think that it would make them more money or less money to kill off Eric Killmonger?
I mean, he looked mighty dead to me, so I think he gone.
You never saw a body. You never saw him completely die before he fell. No, I'm not buying it at all.
I saw him kill over, and I saw him hold his body, so I say that nigga dead.
He killed up from a puncture wound to the stomach. You know how easy that is to correct? I mean, you took a dude that had his heart blown out and completely saved him with Tony Stark. It's not that hard to do.
We gonna see. I'll throw a candy bed on that one.
Man, Milky Way good, homie. On that thing.
And Griff, what would you tell me that Black Panther broke this week? I know you told me they broke another record.
My bad. I was listening to Lil Wayne earlier. My folks.
It broke $1 billion. It broke $1 billion, like he said, man. Hey, it's making that money, and it don't seem like it's slowing down. It's gonna pass up it may pass up Avengers. Some people say it's a long shot. I think it's like 50 million off.
It's got a strong chance.
I hope it makes it. I hope it passes up, just for the simple fact that we have that movie like that is breaking so many records is impressive.
I mean, at this point, message sent, message received, statement made. The psychic gentlemen that are on this podcast right now, we tried to tell y'all in advance. Y'all didn't want to hear us, but I mean, hey, when the stars line up correctly, the stars line up correctly. I'm very happy for them. I'm very happy for the success. I'm more interested now in seeing what the powers that be do to kind of build on that momentum and that success in a more organic way. I don't want to see money grab bullshit titles coming out left and right that ain't got no heart, ain't got no soul in it. Just because you want to capitalize off, oh, you know, this is from the creator of Black Panther. Oh, this comes from the women of Black Panther. Oh, this is one of the handmaidens that watched the Phoenix of Black Panther in the movie. This is her tale and story. No, don't give me none of that shit. Just keep giving me good shit. You're on a good roll. You got good momentum going. Just keep the ball moving.
Yes, sir. That's all they got to do. And then, hey, they're going to bounce back tough with this Avengers in a couple weeks. I'm ready for this. I was talking to my boy Griff earlier, like, man, we're going to have to get these on lockdown as soon as they come. I don't want no bull.
Yeah, man,
I'm just glad. I personally just, Mike, I mean, we don't, your mic messed up, Marcus, so I don't know if you knew that. And so I missed some of the stuff you said, but huh?
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, we good now. So we can just go ahead and just we good now. But basically, I want you to go back to what you was talking about. Personally, I said that I think it's a huge momentum swing in a lot of the Black culture. For one thing, that this movie showed President that movies featuring Black artists or Black characters can sell and is appealing to the mass population. And I just said that I think that Chadwick Boseman, Ryan Coogler, Marvel, all that gives a hand of applause. I mean, a round of applause for doing a great job and just showing people that a character that many people didn't feel like we're going to work, or a character that was only supposed to make $500,000 worldwide. I mean, $500 million worldwide. That it was able to break a lot of these records and a lot of records that a lot of people never saw was going to happen. So you got to give them a shout out to them for, you know, Marvel taking a chance on this and catching that wave, honestly.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I don't know if it was heard or not because I didn't know my mic was messing up. But the only thing that I was saying is that I hope that they capitalize off this momentum in a positive and organic way. Don't go for the money grab route. Don't just throw out shit just to throw out shit and attach from the makers of Black Panther, or give me a side story about the Black Panther's handmaiden that used to wash his penis and this is her struggle and all. I don't want to see all that.
Penis is clean, Your Highness.
Yeah, I don't want to see all this. I don't want to see all that stupid gimme grab just because I put the face up there. You automatically want people to come and spend money on it. No, keep the stuff, keep the passion to it, keep the heart in it, keep good.
We don't need
Madea
going to Wakanda.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the thing that always will trump anything with real comic fans and hopefully the majority of comic book movie fans start to swing to that area is, at the end of the day, just tell me a good story. The rest can take care of itself. If you give me a good story, the rest takes care of itself, which is why I've had my issues with certain Marvel titles. Guardians of the Galaxy,
Iron Man 2 and 3.
Don't tell me a good story, and it leaves me disappointed. But I mean, all the props in the world to everybody that was involved with the creative processes and the making of Black Panther. They did an outstanding job. For anybody that disagrees, I will kindly inform them that the world disagrees with them. And it just is what it is at the end of the day. Can't lie about $1 billion.
Hey,
you cannot lie about $1 billion.
We call that shit billion, taking shots at people
all day.
Man, is y'all bracket filled out?
No, it is not.
I done filled out like 5-6 brackets already.
Griff, what you mean it's not?
Man, I am bullshit, man. I try to tell y'all, man, I am not interested in college basketball at all.
Oh, so you basically I'm gonna look and see who got the best looking uniform, and I'm gonna pick that team type bracket guy.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think I've ever filled out a bracket. To be truthfully honest with you.
Oh my god.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I just never been one to be interested in college basketball. It ain't never appealed to me. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about college basketball that I do not like, but I just do not like to watch it.
Oh my god.
Well, Wilson, do you have any surprises that you think is going to make the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8? I mean, Griff just threw me off with that. But...
Man, I'm sorry, dog. I'm just letting y'all know, man. I have never, ever
Bro, I don't even have the appropriate words for something like that.
I'm just trying
That's
to keep it real.
bananas.
I'm trying to keep it
Hey man, I
100 with y'all
appreciate
right
the
now.
honesty. I appreciate the honesty, but you got to appreciate the fact that that honesty is going to go both ways, and that just strikes me as odd. I'm not judging. I'm not trying to. Anyway, it's hard not to at this point. But I mean, whoo.
One
Hey,
rank.
okay, but I'm trying to tell you right now. I want y'all to know, man, and I'll make this clear many a times. I am a person that has knowledge of everything, and sports was one where I was a late bloomer too, because my dad or none of my parents really watched sports and stuff. So I had to catch the wave
For
on my
sure.
own. So I told y'all around 2005, that's kind of when I took off, and then I kind of backpedaled to learn other stuff. But I was like, hey, man, it is what it is.
Nothing wrong with that, brother. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Oh,
I
you can
mean,
talk shit
everybody
about
has
me.
their own preferences.
I need to feel
Every,
like one.
everybody has their own preferences. For me, um, you say a couple of folks that I think could surprise and make a Sweet 16 run.
Yeah.
Uh, First and foremost, I would look to my alma mater, those Houston Cougars. They have that recipe that I always preach all the time as far as the tournament goes. Have solid backcourt play and have good team defense. That's usually a winning, successful formula when it comes to the tournament. There have been many a dominant big man historically that have been ringless in college because they didn't have the guard play or they didn't have the overall defense. There's a lot of teams out there that's got some good bigs. I'm interested in seeing how Arizona does with their phenomenal big man. I'm interested in seeing how Duke does with their big men, so on and so forth. But honestly, for me, if you got good guard play, if they're running hot at the right time, uh, it usually leads to good runs. I look to Houston like that. I'm kind of interested in the Stephen F. Austin Texas Tech game.
Really?
A lot of people aren't paying attention to Stephen F. Austin. Stephen F. Austin turns teams over better than almost anybody in the country.
Yeah, by a mile.
They play a very frenetic pace on defense and it's very confusing. It'll be interesting to see how Texas Tech shows up for that. They've been going through a little late season swoon because at one point they were looking like they were going to run away with the Big 12 and kind of came back to earth. Hopefully that won't apply as far as them in the tournament, but that's going to be an interesting first round matchup. Another team that I can look at to make a mini run. I don't see them maybe breaking past the Sweet 16, but they definitely have a shot at the Sweet 16. I like the Miami Hurricanes, which sounds weird to say out loud, but I think they're a good group. They can actually cause some people some problems. And I don't really have like a super duper Cinderella. I really don't trust a lot of the lower seeded teams. So I don't have like a super huge upset outside of, I guess, Stephen F. Austin. I think Stephen F. Austin is going to beat Texas Tech in the first round. But other than that, it's more of the usual suspects, man. It's going to be really interesting. That bracket with University of Virginia in it is going to be interesting because there's a lot of good defensive teams in there.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually picking that Elite Eight matchup between Virginia and Cincinnati, and the defenses between those two teams. I think the first team to 45 will probably win. It's gonna be some good matchups potentially down the line in this tournament. They set up the brackets fairly well, although they screwed the pooch on some of these selections because there's no way in hell, and yeah, I'm gonna bring it up. There's no way in hell you got an Oklahoma in the tournament, but Oklahoma State is not. There's no way that you have an actual top 25 ranked team in St. Mary's that's not in the goddamn tournament. I don't understand the logic on that at all. It should be a pretty much bona fide guarantee. If you're ranked in the top 25 at the end of the regular season, you should be in the tournament. I do not understand that whatsoever.
Yeah, that's fact. What do you think Michael at Missouri gonna do? You think he's gonna be able to bounce back for the NCAA run?
That one's kind of iffy, man. I applaud them on the effort, and it'll be interesting to see, man, because it's one of those things now that, okay, don't jump into the tournament and then get hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you just got back. Don't get back to get hurt again, because now all of a sudden you got the double red flag on you, because then you officially become quote unquote injury prone. And you're talking about a guy that can go as high as like top 5 in the draft. So, I mean, it's a gamble. It's a risk, but I'm actually interested to see if it gives his team a boost. They also have a very interesting matchup going against one of the tallest teams in college basketball this season in Florida State. A lot of active big men, so he's going to have his work cut out for him trying to work it out in that paint, because I want to say that Florida State has at least 3 or 4 guys that are 6'10" or taller that are going to get in there and bang with him. They're going to make him earn it. They're going to make him work for it. Hopefully his teammates pick him up, get some time on the outside shooting, and they can turn over Florida State and get the win. But it'll be interesting. I know a lot of eyes will be on him when it comes to that first-round matchup.
Yeah, I'm saying, have you been impressed with the kid at Alabama, Colin Saxton, man?
Y'all been so busy talking about Trae Young. Y'all better put some respect on that boy's name. He's getting it in. He's getting it in.
Especially recently.
Man, that one-man band that he pulled in that SEC tournament was impressive, man. That kid is on to something. Yeah, he's on to something. He's got a future, man. I will be very interested to see where he makes it at the next level.
Yeah, no doubt. And man, what y'all think about this Klay Thompson interview, man? You think it's gonna
get his ass out of here?
Look who's back.
Get his ass out of here. Talking about some shit I know what I'm. It's a little bit something about.
Look at these Rockets fans getting all nervous and excited. Yay, Klay's hurt, so it's Steph.
Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. Even if Klay and Curry was healthy, I still like our chances. I give no fucks about any team other than the Rockets.
Yeah. I understand. I get it.
And I'm telling you, man. This is the year. I feel it. I feel it in my blood. James Harden texted me the other day.
Conference finals out in 6. I feel it.
Nah, man, he ain't getting out of there. He taking it to the finals. He texted me the other day and he said, "Man, you see these motherfuckers trying to hype up LeBron James, or he trying to hype himself up for MVP? This is my year. This is our year." I said, "Okay, I'll let it be known."
Fitch and Grits has that well in hand, so we're not worried about that either.
He has what well in hand?
You saw how the assault level rose.
What did you just say?
Nothing, man. I'm just poking fun.
Did you just say he was gonna win MVP? Oh my god! If Anthony Davis or LeBron James win MVP over James Harden, I would literally break my fucking TV.
If we are keeping it 100 and going to the actual true definition of an MVP at this point, if Anthony Davis and the New Orleans Pelicans finish as a 4 seed or higher, he should win MVP.
Hell no, he shouldn't win no MVP.
Man, you crazy.
Hell no. The only reason why
that man is doing more with less than Harden is. Don't tell that lie.
I will give him the credit of this one thing, that he has succeeded in spite of DeMarcus Cousins. But Anthony Davis was not balling like this consistently the whole year, and you just happen to have a spurt of a winning streak of 10 games or whatnot. No, it has not just been you. It's been other people. Mirotic has been a huge pickup. It's also been Rondo out there fucking looking like prime Boston Rondo. And then no one would ever diminish my nigga Jay Holiday over there, who is killing it. He is killing it over there.
Who?
Holiday is killing it. Holiday is killing.
And the maturation of Clint Capella doesn't add to Harden's MVP case. So
that's a beautiful thing. But last time I checked, Chris Paul
if
also.
You don't use that against Anthony Davis, I can use that against James Harden. So
I'm also gonna say that Chris Paul also missed almost 20 games, and James Harden is still carrying the team to the number 1 record. I can also point out that without James Harden, when he did not play his 6 or 7 game, the Rockets went on a mediocre 2-5 run without James Harden. I will also say that James Harden is the focal point of the offense. So whoever else gets going is because of James Harden. The only person Chris Paul really got going is Ryan Anderson. I can point that out. So James Harden did not lose MVP again this year, because I'm going to be fucking pissed. I will be fucking livid, because they let that bullshit slide last year, letting MVP that's finishing the 6 or 7 seed get an MVP, when the history has always shown that it's either been the 1 seed or the 2 seed has the player gets the MVP. And they made a little exception for Russell Westbrook. The bullshit got out the way, but everybody gets back to their senses. Anthony Davis and them are going to finish like number 4, number 5. They have one of the tough schedules coming up. Even if they finish 4 and 5, that he doesn't deserve MVP. Congratulations, Anthony Davis. You played a great year. This is not your year. And you missed how many games? Like 15 or 16? Get the fuck out of here.
So much anger for somebody so petty, but you enjoy that MVP award, because that's the only fucking award that the Rockets are going to win this year.
Nah, man. Nah. What it is, but all it is like how you said earlier. I said it not everybody's going to win win the big chip, or not everybody's going to have the greatest playoff performances. Because once again, I'm always going to say that last year was a aberration because James Harden had a pretty good playoffs, but it just came up short when it mattered. And you can also look at that he had to. You never seen a player carry his team solely like James Harden, or be there to be counted on day in and night out and whatnot. And I just have to say that I just think this is the year where James Harden is finally going to break through. I just feel like the pieces are there. If we lose, we're going to lose to the Warriors. And
that situation isn't unique to just James Harden. There's been plenty of people that have drugged their teams to the playoffs and beyond.
But it hasn't been a person that has been this his usage rate. He has the highest usage rate, especially of last year.
Going into analytics, I don't care about.
No, I'm not even going into it. I'm not even going into it. Okay, I could even look past analytics. I'm just talking about with Jordan. Oh, well, I don't even get in the argument.
Jordan never did it by himself. I'm talking. Let's do something more accurate. Tell me how his is greater than Allen Iverson's.
Who? Oh no, what Allen Iverson did was amazing. Did he not win MVP that year?
Was that not the standard that was set then? So don't tell me that James Harden is doing something that's unique or new or different. I've seen people actually go further than James Harden has with less talent. So, I mean, it's all up to James, right? James should have went farther last year, right?
He cracked. Man, honestly, I can't even speak on that man's Game 6 performance because that shit was just mind blowing.
And Lou
I can't even
Game 5, like.
Oh yeah, Lou did man. James Harden left it all out there on the court. That nigga had what 33-10, no 33-12 and 10 or some shit like that. Man, nobody talks about that.
We also had a lead in the fourth quarter.
33-12 and 12 then, huh?
Huh?
I guess he should have had 33-12 and 12 then, huh?
I'm talking about game 5. Sometimes you give it your all. But look, this is what I'm also talking about. Same with if you want to talk about the Spurs back when they played the Heat and they thought they won the game and Ray Allen did his bullshit and then they gave it all that game 6. So when game 7 came around, it's kind of they were just like they ran out of gas. Same with James Harden. He kind of just ran out of gas. He kind of laid it out there on the court. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, yeah, he came up short in the playoffs, but I'm not going to undermine or not give James Harden some kind of credit for what he's done in the regular season for a team that nobody thought was going to work. B, a team that nobody thought James Harden he's going to have to defer to Chris Paul. And for them to have to finish with probably the number 1 seed overall, I think that's pretty impressive. I mean, no slight on Anthony Davis. He's number 2 in my book because that dude, what he's been putting on for what he had to deal with is pretty goddamn amazing. And if you want to be honest, I think he's a little bit more, he's actually more efficient than what Harden, because he plays on the defensive end and the offensive end.
I just threw Anthony Davis's name out there to get your blood pressure up. I literally don't care about the MVP or who wins it. That don't matter to me. I know what I'm going to get out of James Harden in the regular season. That's not the issue. What James Harden is doing right now doesn't impress me at all because it's what he always does. I'm worried about what he does in May.
But why does nobody give him no?
This is par for the course. That's why his excellence is his biggest downfall. This is what we're used to seeing with James Harden. We want to see that continue and for him to step it up a level in the playoffs.
But does he ever step it? I mean, me and DeMarcus.
Hear me out. You've gotten to a point now where we expect James Harden to put up ridiculous numbers all the time. What we're looking forward to, a la a Jordan or a la a Kobe or a la a LeBron, is for those numbers to step up even more in that postseason. That's when you get to a measure of a player's greatness. You have to see that level kick up. You can't be content to say, well, what I did in the regular season, I can just stay at that level and make it through, because you don't have bad teams to play in the postseason. There are no lottery teams in the postseason. The standard of competition goes up, so your level of play has to go up with it. And thus far in his career, James Harden has still just been James Harden in the playoffs. People are waiting to see that MVP, that we're going to win it all, James Harden, come out in the playoffs. That's why there's so much anticipation for what the Rockets and James Harden are going to do once they make the playoffs this year. Everybody is hopeful about seeing James Harden kick it up another notch. Whether it happens or not remains to be seen.
So there's a lot of players that's out there that kind of put out just mediocre numbers or kind of keep on the par of their numbers when they get into the finals. I mean, into the playoffs. You can look at Westbrook. You can look at Melo. You can look at Dame Dollar. I mean, he has good Dame performances in the playoffs, but it doesn't get him anywhere. And I can just go down the list. And I'm like, James Harden, we looked at the game tape. James Harden has had pretty damn good games, but he's always lost to a better team. So, like, if you want to be honest with you, the
Okay,
Warriors were a better
tell
team
me
both
this.
years.
Tell me this. Tell me a particular playoff series or a particular game where James Harden went completely outside of his regular numbers, where he just went above and beyond.
But it's like, how do you go beyond? How do you
because
go? How do you go over and beyond the numbers that you put up in the regular season? If we sit up there and say,
Ask Jordan, ask Kobe, ask Shaq, they've all done it. Ask Tim Duncan, they've all done it. Ask Dirk Nowitzki, they've all done
they
it.
they also had a team around it that can help them. It was for a while. It was really James Harden holding the team because
So
you
James
had
Harden
no other
doesn't have a
consistent
team this year.
But he has the team this year. Yeah, I said
That's
that
what
argument
we're
can
talking
be.
about is this year. We're just waiting.
But I'm talking about before the knock. I'm talking about the knock before this year on James Harden was unwanted because James Harden had actual good years, but did not have a good team. With the Thunder that first year he played, he had literally nobody on his team, and he's playing against his old team. So I can see why he struggled. It's against the Blazers, they were getting Dwight Howard acclimated to the system. He was the one getting all the main touches. And then people also underrate that the Blazers had, who do they have? Wesley Matthews, who plays with James Harden the best. For the most part, for the first 3 years, James Harden was with the Rockets, was Wesley Matthews.
And they had Robin Lopez.
They always play James Harden hard. It's like he struggles against harder teams, so his numbers are going to dilate some. I mean, he's not the most efficient person at times, and he doesn't get all the calls that he wants. But he tries.
But the Dallas series the next year, he showed out. Last year,
he showed his ass. He showed last year. He showed out against the Warriors. He showed out.
Games of the Spurs series last year, he showed out, and then the Warriors series when we made the Western Finals, he was there.
He balled the first 3 games. James Harden put it out there. I'm talking about this nigga was doing it all, and the only reason why I can say that with a fresh mind is because we watched the game tape. But I feel like James Harden gets the unwanted criticism from a lot of people because it's just like it's other people out there that a lot of people like to praise up, like we said, Dame, or you want to talk about Westbrook, or you want to talk about whoever else you want to Melo, throw them names out there. There's exceptional players that kind of just take it to another notch, and that's just the greatness in them. But I can't diminish what James Harden does. Not everybody's gonna have a LeBron James. That's transcendental. I said the word so wrong.
We know what you mean.
He's a
same with Tim Duncan.
Yeah, we get it.
Same with Tim Duncan, with your Kobe Bryant and stuff like that. I think James Harden has it, but I feel like he needs to mature to get there. So whatever it is, I just think he's been good. I just feel like the hate been real. It's been real.
I don't think get the Rockets to the playoffs and have successful long runs, but that's not enough for people that sit and hear about how great James Harden is. Because at the end of the day, if you are going to say the name Harden and you're going to say the word great in the same sentence, you're going to have to do more than just getting to the second or third round of the playoffs and flaming out.
No,
I hope
that's all it is. 100%. And it's not a hatred-based thing. It's not throwing shade or anything like that. It's just a thing of, if I want to go through, because as I've said numerous times, I'm a James Harden fan, but you're not going to hear me speak to James Harden being a great or an all-time great if he don't give me that next level in the playoffs. And I know that he has it in him. And that's the part that's equal parts frustrating and makes you hesitant about, okay, what is it that we're going to get out of the Rockets in the playoffs? Because we literally have to wait and see which James Harden is going to show up. Because for all of the times that he shows out, he picks the absolute worst moments to not show out.
I agree. And he reminds me of Dirk, as in like the criticism. Because that was the criticism of Dirk for the longest. It was like, damn, Dirk, he's so great. And when it comes to playoffs,
the funny part about it, though, it was warranted for Dirk until about
2011.
Well, no, I'd say maybe a year before that, because he showed signs. But you could tell that he just really couldn't figure it out. And the other thing that worked against Dirk is Dirk didn't have an ability to be ball dominant like a James Harden. He wasn't a point forward. He had to have somebody to feed him the ball. He had to have a system in place where they actually, funneled the ball to him. You know what I'm saying? And then let him use his natural talents to take over. And he put that shit together impressively well in 2011.
Yeah, that's why I say the only reason why I say that is because I feel like that's the performance that James Harden is about to tap in my personal opinion. And I hope he does this, and I hope he doesn't let me down. Because Dirk that year, because I am a Dallas Mavericks fan, or I was, or I'm a Dirk fan more than anything. But
I hate to cut you off, but I think that's the difference between us two as Rockets fans. Because you say how you say you hope he don't let you down. It's like you got so much built in James, but a part of me as a James Harden fan has died over the years.
But I think
because like we all say, we know he has the potential. But now You got
Fruition is
you got
another
two of the
thing.
greatest guards in NBA history on the same team, and they have to figure out how to get to the big game. That's what it is. It's not just James, it's Chris too. You got to throw Chris in that conversation right behind him. You have to.
And can
At this point, you have to.
And this is the reason. I'm glad you say that. And this is the reason that I wanted to speak on right quick is with Dirk. With Dirk, it's like I saw the potential. I saw what Dirk was doing, but it was like everybody else was talking so much shit and so much doubt that sometimes it starts to weigh on you. And you're like, God damn, man, maybe I'm looking at something different than everybody else is looking at. And it's what James Harden. We see the greatness in James Harden, and I see that sometimes the team does fail James Harden, and they kind of go in their own motions of they just died. And it's kind of like when James Harden is not going, the team's not going. And Dirk didn't always have to rely on that because when Dirk's not going, he had the Jason Terrys or he had the Jason Kidds or he had the Sean Marions and stuff. And with this team, the reason why I feel different about that is when I watch when they played like the Raptors or when they play a team where James Harden doesn't have it going, the other players step up. Or when Chris Paul doesn't have it going, or James Harden, they both struggle. You have a Ariza or Green or Eric Gordon that's going off. It's other people that's not waiting for James Harden to get it going for them to find it getting going. And that's the thing that I like, and it's the thing that's why I'm confident to say that I think this is a year that the Rockets make that run. Same when I was confident with back in 11 when we had the doubter saying that, oh, Dallas is going to lose to Portland, or when we were down 19 to Portland, or when we was going to lose to the Lakers, the past champions, or the new Thunder, or losing to the Heatles. I just truly feel like James Harden has a team around him that's covered every basis from me and DeMarcus watched the Rockets enough time, and I'm pretty sure you did too, Marcus, that we know the deficiencies that the Rockets had was turning the ball over and also let go of the losing the game late. And they corrected that this year and giving up huge leads and not wanting to come back and putting up effort. And they showed me plenty times this year that they can do that. And I'm confident going to the playoffs that I think this is the year. And hey, man, if I'm wrong, hey, man, they sold the hell out of me. And hey, it is what it is.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the thing that you got to understand is it pertains to the correlation that we're putting between Dirk and Harden. There's a couple of differences. Number one, Dirk doesn't have that responsibility of being ball dominant and controlling the flow of the game like a James Harden. So that puts more pressure on Harden as far as being able to rise to the occasion, because you literally don't have the same excuses like a Dirk, because it's not you needing to have somebody get you the ball or somebody needing to get you into the flow of the offense. The offense starts with you. So that's another burden that Harden is going to have to carry. And then on the flip side of that, as far as Dirk going through and being frustrated and receiving all the criticism and stuff like that, you have to remember that Dirk was low on the pecking order. He had a guy named Garnett and a guy named Duncan that was constantly in front of him throughout the entirety of his career. Harden doesn't have them problems. Nobody looks and says, well, oh, this guy's better than Harden or that guy's better than Harden. They argue that some people are as good as Harden, but for the most part, Harden's got his own lane. Harden's got his own little groove and his own little niche, which further complicates the argument for folks that want to defend or support him as opposed to his detractors, because we get it. We understand where it's coming from. It's logical. It's not like it's something that's far-fetched as far as what it is that Harden needs to do. It's just maddeningly frustrating because it's like it's right there for you. We've seen you do it. We've seen you overcome situations like this in the regular season, but we have yet to see you do the same thing in the postseason. And until that happens, he will always get that criticism, whether fair or unfair. It just is what it is.
I agree.
That's it, bro.
I mean, I agree. I just get annoyed, man. We
know. That's why I had to touch that button.
But it's not.
Until the playoffs come, Griff, it's gonna be like this.
But it's not. It's not
I mean,
annoying.
At this point, there's nothing that we can really say until we get to the postseason.
It's not. I see the bias. I see the biased nature in a lot of people that just. I'm not talking about you, Wilson, because you make.
I know you're not talking about me because you know I'm joking. I know you're not talking about me. I told you I like Harden. I'm good.
When I turn on the TV and I just hear these people just bashing the Rockets or just bashing, James Harden, I'm just like, yo, y'all really sway the public opinion out here, because a lot of people see the stats that James Harden put up, or they see the end product, but not see the actual games or see what's really going on. So they doubt and they still not. Like Chris Carter, I'm gonna be honest with you. Chris Carter's a jackass. Chris Carter literally talks shit about the Rockets all day long. the Rockets beat the Spurs the other night, who had nobody. They talked about it and said, "Oh man, I see why the Rockets have it going on." The Spurs had nobody, and you glorify this game? Are you serious? And it doesn't make any sense, and it just. The Westbrook love gets on my nerve. How everybody just pumps up Westbrook like he's not a stat chasing.
You talking about Mr. 100 triple doubles? You better respect
Jesus, man. It's just like that dude right there. That's why. Who cares if he got 100 triple doubles, dude? You try to do everybody else's job except what you're supposed to do, and that's why nobody can win with you because you always trying to out rebound somebody, or you trying to take an unforced shot instead of being in the flow of the game, and that's why you will not win. I just hate it with LeBron James. He's over here self-glorifying himself, talking about he's like what, aging like fine wine, getting better with time. Nick, where was that fine wine when you was just playing the Lakers for 2 games and when you lost to the Lakers and the Clippers? Get the fuck out of here, LeBron James.
Time out on the LeBron thing. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
This is the knock. This is the knock. I respect LeBron James. He is an amazing player. He's probably going in history as one of the players that most well-rounded basketball players that we ever seen. But my criticism was him is he started to self-glorify himself in the season. And LeBron James is king PR. He is king PR. And LeBron James, in my mind, I think he knows that he's not winning this year. He knows once again that he's not getting to the finals, probably because the Raptors are legit. I'm telling y'all, I think LeBron James is trying to glorify what he does or what he has been doing in regular season. Like, we don't talk about that shit already. Like LeBron James is not talked about 24/7, but he finds a way to glorify himself. And I was like, how are you glorifying yourself playing the fucking Suns? And it's like, hey, LeBron James, where was this attitude on trying to win when you were playing other teams that you were struggling against, where you weren't showing that you were the greatest player out there? It's like LeBron James could do so much more, and he's really just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just gets on my nerve, honestly.
He can do so much more. How long has LeBron been in the league?
But it ain't no one's saying so much more. I'm talking about on the defensive end. Like, we don't always need you to score. I feel like he's trying to pad his stats to, I guess, kind of erase the narrative of his team is really trash. Like, they don't talk about like, damn, the Cavs are really fucking bad. But they'll flip the story and be like, hey, let's talk about LeBron James and that triple double he got, which is it's a beautiful thing. Cool, LeBron, you got triple double against the Suns.
They do that with every major player, though. I mean, that's
him and Westbrook. Him and Westbrook. I've never seen 2 players that people talk about more who are not accomplishing as much, in a certain span of time. If you want to be
the part of the argument that defeats you is, again, you're talking about LeBron James. He's been in the finals for almost a decade now, consecutively. This is a dude that, when you really sit and break it down, is redefining the term what is a player's prime, because usually you talk about a player's prime being about 3 to 6 years, right? LeBron has been in a quote unquote prime for almost a decade. And the numbers bear that out. The success level bears that out. That's unprecedented in basketball and in sports in general. So, I mean, they're going to ride that PR.
It's a beautiful thing.
The NBA is a global business. They're going to do what they have to do, and folks are going to grin and bear it, or they'll stop watching the clickbait stuff. That's why I don't watch Sports Center and Undisputed and all them other shows.
I see why.
Because that's what you're going to get all the time. But that's the way that they have to move that brand forward. That's the way that they have to keep that interest up, because you have young and impressionable folks that are going to go with what the face of the place is. Not necessarily who the best is, but they're going to go with what the face of the place is. John Cena ain't the best wrestler in the WWE, but he's the most recognizable one.
Who?
He's the one that's gonna make people come out.
Yeah, you drop too much realness. I think you hit me with too much realness, because sometimes I get sidetracked. Sometimes I fall for the sauce out there.
Hey, man,
and I know I shouldn't be listening to this.
Man,
it's not about getting sidetracked, Griff.
No, you just don't like LeBron. It's fine.
Oh no, I like LeBron. No, I kid you not. I do like LeBron, but sometimes I think people overhype what LeBron does. I think LeBron self-promote. People don't talk enough about his self-promotion of himself when he does.
Can I say something in LeBron defense?
What he does necessarily.
Yeah, you can say.
I don't think it's not about what he does.
We don't keep him on our docket, but somehow LeBron comes up on our show every week. Yep. So that means he's doing something right.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, he's talked about. He's Drake. He's the Drake of rap. I mean, Drake of basketball.
LeBron, and that's the part that makes it funny too. People like to give LeBron the blame or the fault or the accountability for stuff that might be outside his hands. LeBron ain't always out there tooting his own horn. LeBron is out there being like any other basketball player. Every other basketball player takes Snapchats and Instagrams and stuff like that. It's just the fact that people pay attention to it more because it's King
Oh,
James.
I don't mind him doing
That's
that. I'm
it.
talking about the post interview when he talking about him and how great he's playing. I'm just like, your team sucked, dog.
Shit, he is playing great. He just dropped a triple double. You mad at him for being honest?
I mean, you played great against the Suns, dog, and you missing Tristan Thompson and like 2-3 other your scoring threat. What do I expect you to do? Like, I expect you to put up those numbers. That's why we don't always talk about. That's why we don't always run up in here and be like, oh, well, James Harden just went out for a triple double. We'll be joking about it, but it is like we expect James Harden to do that. So when he doesn't do that, it's kind of just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I expect LeBron James to put up these huge numbers because A, he's working with a new batch of characters that he's never played with, and then he's missing damn near fucking 3 huge scores for the team. So I'm just like, I knew he was gonna put up these numbers. So it was just like, huh?
So is it really his fault that the team sucks?
Oh, the Cavs just suck because I don't think he plays no defense on the end. I mean, I can talk about that.
But if he's got so many players missing, is that the direct result more so of them sucking than just the way that you feel about LeBron's play?
No, I just don't think that he's putting. I mean, I just truly feel like that team could be so much better, and I feel like James Harden. I mean, LeBron James. What I did like about LeBron James back with the Heat.
Be about Harden. You see that?
No, I wasn't about to talk. No, I didn't. I wasn't about to talk about. I like LeBron James, but back in the day, and what I did like about LeBron James is the same thing I like about Kawhi Leonard, and what I wish James Harden did more of, that game-changing defense. And when you set that pace over there on the defensive end, it kind of takes shape of your team, and that's why I kind of like some of the Heats. I'm be honest with you, I did like the Heats.
Here's the only problem with Harden as it pertains to that. Everybody has this whole big thing about, oh, we wish Harden plays defense better, this, that, and the other. Here's a news flash for a lot of people that may not know basketball or may not pay attention. At the end of the day, one of the things that makes me really, really cheer for and admire James Harden a lot is he is arguably the most unathletic superstar that I've seen in basketball since Paul Pierce.
Facts.
He does not have that kind of athleticism to be a game changer on the defensive end like that. You can't name me a great defensive player that wasn't a great athlete. You can't name one.
I love that you said
you know
that,
what I'm saying? So when people come out and they say that, it's funny to me, but I'm like, he still gives enough of himself to be good in the team defensive concept. So if you want to be mad at anything when it comes to the way that James Harden plays defense, talk to his coach, because he's just trying to do what the coach wants him to do.
And what the coach got him doing is playing some of the best post defense on our team.
Exactly, like some of the best posts.
A lot of James steals come from when they try to dump it.
Hello, you're trying to fit it in. Let me sneak it out. A la Jason Kidd, a la Chris Paul back in his New Orleans days. Exactly.
So,
hey. But I respect LeBron James. I do. I mean, honestly, 2015 was probably one of the greatest playoff runs that I've seen LeBron James ever do. Man, he was like vintage LeBron that year. Jesus.
No doubt.
I like Bron, but I can only wear his Olympic jersey because I don't like the Cavaliers or the Heat like that. So
I'm just like, man, it was just like when he was in that finals against the Warriors, it reminded me when I used to watch LeBron James when he played the Celtics or the Pistons or the Wizards, when he used to just lay it all out there. He was just like, fuck it. This is all I'm gonna do. Like defense, offense, run. Man, I'm talking about he put on a show, and I really fucking enjoyed that finals.
Well, for LeBron, man, that was the most important series that he's ever played in his life because it was for everything that he said that everything about basketball meant to him. He wanted to bring a title back to his hometown. He wanted to have Cleveland on the map like that, and to sit there and have that opportunity. LeBron James was going to get carted off that fucking court before he decided to quit on that series.
Yeah, that was a good series. That was a really good series. Oh man, that's a very underrated series.
Oh yes.
Man, boys start opening up them pockets.
Dropping them. Man, I needed a contract. I thought I saw at the bottom of NFL Network, it says Marcus Griffin got signed to the Eagles as a for $2.5 million. Just give me just a little bit.
Before we jump all the way into it, y'all give me y'all 2 best signings and then the 2 worst signings y'all seen so far.
Oh, can I start with the worst signings?
Knock yourself out, Griff.
The only reason why I say this is the worst signing is Sammy Watkins. And the only reason why I say Sammy Watkins is because I feel like they're overpaid for him. And I truly feel like
Come on, Griff, you can't use that narrative. You can't use the overpay.
oh, we can't. Okay, you can't say the overpay. Okay, then it's not a bad sign. Okay, I take
a player is only worth what the person is going to sign the check for.
You right. I take it back. I take it back. The one that I do have a knock on, Allen Robinson. And the only reason why I have a knock on Allen Robinson, and I feel like this is a bad, is because he had an ACL surgery and he's playing in Chicago. Chicago is outdoors. It's cold. ACL and cold.
Chicago.
How much are they paying him?
A lot.
How much are they paying him?
About 12.
Like 15, 16 a year?
No, he's not. No, he's making like 13. He's making like 13.
Oh, even better. Well played, Chicago. Well played.
But the only reason, but I'm saying a bad signing for him. It's a good signing money-wise for Allen Robinson, but for career-wise, I'm just saying going to the Bears where they're in the rebuilding.
Oh,
I mean, they're kind of in the upward swing.
Brutal on that first of all. On his knee.
I truly feel like he would have had more production if he would have went to maybe a 49ers team. And the only reason why I said the 49ers is because he really completed that team and gave them another wide receiver. Also, another team that I wish would have taken a flyer on him would be the Dallas Cowboys, because I think he would have been great with that offense.
Don't show the Cowboys no love. No,
I don't know.
That's only love I'm gonna show them. I don't think he would have been good for his knee.
Would have been good for his knee. I think that came into effect.
What's another bad signing that I saw? There hasn't been no bad signings in my opinion.
What's your good one?
Some good signings. My good ones. It's been some bad ones. So when you say bad, what are we saying is bad? Is you saying bad as in
bad fit?
Well, I mean, you can have more. You can have more than one reason for it being bad. It could be a bad fit. You could feel that they went to the wrong squad. It could be bad from a situation of they didn't address an area of need. They just went and got out a name. Like there's many ways that it can be bad.
The best. Okay, a bad move. Jonathan Stewart. I hated that fucking Giants got Jonathan Stewart. And now that they got the left tackle, what's the name from the Patriots? That sounded
like it was a divisional hatred involved.
The only reason why I hate it is because when they got that left tackle from the Giants, that's a key piece of keeping Eli safe. Okay, and that was a huge move to reholster that offensive line. And you have mediocre 3 yards to carry Jonathan Stewart. You could have got McKinnon. You could have got Carlos Hyde. You could have got Crowell, who I thought would have really been nice in that offense. And I'm just like, why Jonathan Stewart? And you have a prime team. I mean, you obviously got a prime offense to win now. If you want to be, because all it needs is a few more defensive
pieces. You need a strong mentor for Saquon Barkley when he comes to the Giants.
Oh, now if that happens, that's a smart move. Then that's a smart move. Then now you talking some good shit right now. Now if that happens, Giants got it in the bag.
Man, that's a huge what if.
That's a huge if. At this point. My good picks, my good signings, I would like to say would be. I like that. Man, I gotta remember what everything. It's been so much shit going on. I gotta remember what all happened.
It's like 50-11 signings so far.
God damn, man. For a fantasy standpoint, I love it that Kirk Cousins is going to the Vikings. I like it for Dalvin Cook. Increases it. Huh?
You won't.
I like that. I like that. I like that. And then another signing that I do like that I feel like is underrated is the Jags signing, retooling their offensive line. I think the Jags got it going on now.
That is not underrated, sir. That is one of the best guards in football.
But not underrated. Well, I'm talking about underrated on people don't see the importance of how crazy. I don't think I know the football.
You're talking about like casual fans as opposed to folks that actually know football.
Exactly. Yeah, casual fans don't see how amazing that is for that offense and just for them signing Moncrief.
Why are you giving that old lineman all that money? Bitch, do you know who that old lineman is?
Exactly. Do you know what he's about to do for this Jag squad? Do you know they about to go on a Super Bowl run?
Fournette is about to run for?
Oh, man.
Let me check my keepers.
Exactly. That's why I like it, because of fantasy.
Let me make sure I keep Fournette in my league.
Yeah, make sure you do not drop him. Do not pull a Marcus and drop Odell Beckham.
I don't know what he was thinking. He was drunk.
I don't know what he was thinking either, but I'm glad.
Marcus, are you drunk right now? I was hurt, man. I felt like my season was over. Odell got hurt. Yeah, I was just like, fuck all.
2 IR spots at the bottom.
Exactly. Well, I put IR spots on the league for that reason. He dropped. I was like, you know what? I guess he just didn't want him.
Yeah, man. I had a bad day. I had a bad day.
I'm gonna make it work with Brandon Marshall. You know
my
what? You know what, OBJ? Come on. Let's make it work.
Just get off my team. I hated everybody on my team. I had Terrell Pryor stinking it up. I was like, get off my squad.
Griff had the all bus squad at receiver.
Man, it's amazing that my defensive players carried me. Jesus, my wide receivers were garbage, man.
Hey, that's the fun of IDP leagues. That's why I play IDP leagues. I love it for that reason. You can have players that can absolutely flame out for you, but the rest of your team can pick you up.
Goodwin became my number one wide receiver. That's how hard it was.
And Wilson, what about you? What's your worst two and your best two?
It was that hard,
He got
man.
me with the good one. My bad. He got me with the good
It was struggle, man.
Let's struggle.
Two bad picks. I'm going to go out there, and it's not bias per se, but just kind of looking at it and having that wait and see kind of attitude. I'm not completely sold on the Cousins to Minnesota move for a couple of reasons. And it's funny because I was listening to an interview about this last night, and I kind of agree with the gentleman that was talking. I can't remember who it was that was on there, but to go through and invest everything that you invested into this man to be that quote unquote final piece that you need. The one thing that really, really stands out to me, and great body of work so far for Kirk. It's cool for what it is. I take it into the modern day evolution of the sport. Last 3 years, he's thrown for $4,000. But there's a couple of things, if we're going to go by the modern 21st century standard of NFL quarterback, that sticks out to me. And it's three things. Number one, let me know the next time he throws 30 touchdowns, because it'll be the first time. Number two, let me know the next time he doesn't have double-digit turnovers, because that'll be the first time. Number three, like a gentleman that was on ESPN radio last night said, in my heart of hearts, the one thing that stands out and bothers me the most about that is that at no point in time when I've ever seen my team play against Kirk Cousins did I say, oh man, damn, we just gave Kirk Cousins back the ball, man. Shit, we screwed.
Do you watch
I've never
Around
had
the
any
Horn?
reason to fear. No, I don't watch any cable. I don't have cable. I don't
I wanted to see if you, because I heard a person that brought that up, and it was God damn it.
Like
but Monty Jones had brought that up.
If you're gonna go through and you're gonna put this guy out there like the franchise, he's the next step, he's your final piece and stuff like that. Part of what makes a lot of the quarterbacks great, like all-time great like that would justify a signing of that magnitude, is the fact that when you see a number 9 in black and gold, or a number 12 in green and gold, or a number 12 in red, white, and blue get ready to run onto the field, everybody gets a little tense. Oh man, shit, did we leave too much time on the clock?
Mm-hmm.
God damn, where they at? I've never ever come close, and that's when he's been playing out of his mind, playing his best ball. I've never had that feeling about Kirk Cousins. Add that to the typical the Vikings are going to be the Vikings curse. I'm just going to wait and see, but I'm not really sold on it. I'm not really thrilled about it. In my opinion, I've always been big on chemistry. The chemistry that you developed with Case Keenum, nobody said that you had to sign him to a 5-year contract. You could have signed him to a 2-year deal for about half the money, but you would have kept that momentum rolling. You would have kept him on the field with a team that was ready to go to war with him, ready to run through a wall for him. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot to be said about those intangibles when it comes to that quarterback position in today's NFL. You got to have somebody that's willing to be followed by players. As Seattle, part of the reason why they've already been down, 6-7 starters in free agency, a lot of the folks don't really care to follow Russell Wilson for whatever reason. But those intangibles always play into the success of your team. And when you're talking about playing with your franchise, you got to make sure that you're hitting on all cylinders, because Cousins shows up, great. We'll see how it goes. We can see how they make their progress and build up. But if Cousins goes south, I mean, you in a 3-year money pit.
Can I ask you a question?
There's no alternative. Yeah.
Can I make a case for Kirk Cousins, or just throw out I don't know, kind of give him
Go for it.
The only reason why I did, when y'all mentioned that signing, I want to say, what was that, like 3 podcasts ago, before anybody else was talking about it, when y'all mentioned him should go to the Vikings, give us a little shout out. The reason why I honestly like that move for him is because Kirk Cousins is a type of quarterback I think succeeded in spite of being the backup to RG3, succeeded in spite of his coach always undermining or blaming him for everything, even though that Jay Gruden play calling was really terrible, and they really never helped Kirk Cousins. When he finally got could get some chemistry with a Jordan Reed or a Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garçon. Y'all start shipping people off. There was no consistency going on. Alfred Morris, who was holding it down, you get rid of him, and then you have this carousel at running back, carousel on the defensive end, and he's always inspired. He had to play without in playing the elements. He always had to go against, I guess, a better competition. But putting him in the Vikings, where the Vikings have a defense that can finally hold people and stop people, and Kirk Cousins finally has legit weapons that are going to be healthy, because Diggs, I mean, you got to worry about Diggs sometimes because he doesn't say it's healthy, but a Thielen, I feel like that connection, I mean, I don't know if Diggs is going to, Adam Thielen is going to give you the stats that he did with Case Keenum. I hope he does, but I just like him for the situation. Is plugged from the free agent point. I just feel like Kirk Cousins gives you a little extra oomph because I've seen what he did in spite of. So put him in a situation where he can be less stressed out. I feel like he can thrive in that. I hope so. I hope so. But then again, you got to go against Aaron Rodgers.
For my money, Kirk Cousins is a Case Keenum with a more established resume. I mean, it's not like you're losing anything by signing him momentum-wise, but it's just a thing that from year to year, whenever you switch the head of your offense, you have to go through and make sure that chemistry works. And for me, to see how far the Vikings came and how close they came to get into that ultimate prize with Case Keenum, I would have still been a little bit more than willing to give him shot, and not on a 5-year deal, not on a huge mega deal or whatever, but you could have kept him on for 2 more seasons, see what he was worth, see what he was working with and stuff like that, and you could have maybe gone through and addressed a potential future quarterback in the draft. That was my only thing about it that kind of makes it odd for me. I don't think it's a terrible signing. It's just one of those kind of wait and see type signings for me.
And I also, with one more point, with Kirk Cousins, I saw what Case Keenum did against who they lose to?
Philly?
Yeah. When did the Eagles? Okay, they lost to the Eagles. I remember. The reason why I forgot, I wanted to make sure because it's just dealing with all this crap. I mean, I'll talk about it later on, but I got sidetracked, so I wanted to make sure that it was the Eagles because I didn't want to say the Eagles and I'd be wrong. But I saw Kirk Cousins tear up the fucking Eagles literally 2 times that year. And I'm just like, man, if Kirk Cousins was in there over Case, they may have beat the Eagles because I was like, Kirk was really treading us.
You can't make that point, though. You can't make that point.
That is true. I can't make that point. Yeah, I can't make that point.
That's division. That's a division opponent. Kirk Cousins is used to seeing the Eagles all the time. So that's completely different.
This is going to be interesting. The one thing I love about Kirk Cousins signing, I hope that the media builds up a feud between Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins. Like, the matchup. It just becomes a storyline.
No, they'll try, but Kirk's got to get his weight up a little bit more because recent head-to-head matchups with Aaron Rodgers would suggest that it's not that much of a rivalry at all. He's got to earn that right.
I just want Aaron Rodgers to have somebody to compete with because I don't feel like Matthew Stafford is really competing with Aaron Rodgers. I just feel like, hey.
Well, he'll have plenty of fun this season because you'll get him going in against the creme de la creme. They play against Matt Ryan. They play against Tom Brady. He has no shortage of people. He plays against Russell Wilson. He literally plays against the top 5 quarterbacks pretty much in the NFL next year. They're all on the schedule.
So some nice matchups.
There's no need for no extra build-up. Another signing that I can say that I was kind of iffy on. Won't say it was terrible. And again, because of the fact that we don't put the money into it for all the folks that are listening, there's really technically no such thing as like a terrible signing because, I mean, again, hey, if you think they're overpaid, if you're not the one signing the check, they're not overpaid. But one that's just kind of interesting to me, and it's going to be another one of those things along the lines of that, wait and see, let's see if you can prove it. And I think he has the potential for it, but it's going to be interesting to see in that situation. I'm not completely sold on McKinnon to the 49ers yet either. I know he has the drive. I know he has the want to be the bell cow. I get all of it, but it still has to blend. It still has to mesh. It still has to work. I think he has the capability for it. I think that he has all the talent in the world. I think that they have a great support system around him, but you still got to get out there and do it at the end of the day. And particularly with their schedule, it'll be interesting to see how he holds up against that schedule, playing against a lot of those teams that they have on the schedule. But it's just one of those that I'm not completely sold on yet. It's one of those that I just have to wait and see on. I'm just weird like that.
McKinnon gonna play.
But you also got they still got Matt Breida coming back, and they was
Yeah, exactly.
They was pretty high on him, and I don't think McKinnon's gonna have to be the bell cow. They're gonna put him in some good situations.
I think McKinnon's gonna be like Tevin Coleman of that offense.
He's gonna be
remember how
you have to
Kyle Shanahan
understand
did
this,
that.
I'm going off of what the young man said. One of the reasons why he chose not to stay in Minnesota, he wants to be the lead bell cow back. He doesn't want to share a backfield. I'm just going, and that's why I'm not completely sold on it.
He's too small to be a bell cow.
What the young man said. I'm just going off what the young man said.
Get your weight up, McKinnon.
If it goes into play and he ends up having to go through and be a timeshare back, how does that affect him mentally as far as how much he gives to the game? It's those kind of factors. It's not that I don't think that he can't.
He's still a top 10 paid running back, so I don't think he cares.
He's a top 5 paid running back. Which is amazing to say. Jerious McKinnon is the 4th highest paid running back in football, which is amazing. Which is amazing. Crazy. But I mean, it is what it is. Good signings. Shit, is it a signing per se? I like the Tyrod Taylor trade. I can't call it a signing. I like that trade.
It's a new accusation.
I like that trade, especially if they go through and they actually give the young man a shot to succeed. He's got a talented stable of weapons around him. He's soon to receive even more talented stable of weapons around him. I hope that they actually give him a chance to get out there and do his thing. I mean,
David Njoku, God.
Yeah, I mean, you can add a Saquon Barkley to that. Potentially, I mean, you know, if they get greedy, you can add a Saquon and a Calvin Ridley to that, and have them really try to push the envelope. At this point, they have more issues to address on offense than defense, so I'm not really in a hurry to use all of them early picks on defense per se, unless it's a solid slam dunk. We just gotta fill it in.
If I'm the Browns and I can get my hands on this, I'd get Mike Gesicki and team it with David Njoku and have the nastiest 2-man tight end combo.
But you see, they signed Darren Fells, who was actually a pretty underrated tight end. He's a blocker, but he was pretty good for Matthew Stafford. Like, he had some nice shining games. You know, Ebron had to come and mess stuff up.
Joe Thomas retiring, you're gonna have to get a lot of chip blocks going in for a minute.
Yeah,
and see, that's my thing. You go through and you look at all of the concepts and stuff like that. I think, honestly, and I'll call my shot here early, I think that when it's all said and done, Cleveland's going to end up picking 3 times in the first round, because I think they're going to trade back up into the bottom of the first round to get an offensive tackle.
So you think they're going to trade that number 1 pick and split, get it like a 2?
I think they're going to keep that number 1 pick. I think they're going to keep that 1. I think they're going to keep that 4. I think they're going to trade one of those second-round picks and maybe another second next year, depending on how bad they want to get in there, to trade back into the first round. I mean, they're functioning on monopoly money. You got 5 of the first 65 picks in this year's draft. You got like 7 more picks in the first 3 or 4 rounds in next year's draft. You got plenty of pieces to dangle in front of you.
And you got cap space
to move up. Exactly. A ton of cap space. And with that reclamation conglomerate of Dorsey, Wolf, and Highsmith up there, they will use them monopoly pieces as they see fit, and they'll go through and they'll make stuff happen. If it's somebody that they want, like Cleveland is in a unique position. Cleveland, literally, if it's somebody that they want bad enough, they have all of the pieces in place to literally go and get them.
Can I say this? And this sounds very rude. It can be miscued by whoever wants to listen to it. So I was listening to somebody talking about the Warriors, and they talking about Steph, and they talking about, can Steph be relied upon in the playoffs? And they were talking about with his ankle or whatnot. And they was like, and Jalen Rose was like, because of Steph's injuries or with his ankle, it allowed the Warriors to sign him for the low and also build around him where they had the money to spend. And I think about Josh Gordon making less than $1 million, and I'm just like, as bad as it sounds, I'm just like, Josh Gordon having those drug problems. He picked a perfect time to bounce back and just go through his rehab and come back. He picked a perfect time to come back. I said, damn, man.
If Josh Gordon can get just 750 yards, he's going to make about $8 million.
Man, if Josh Gordon, oh my God, if Josh Gordon get it going like he did like 3-4 years ago, my word, whew, that team is going to be nasty.
Yeah, he going to need.
Because I just remember the Tyrod to Watkins connection, the deep ball that they got, and you know how Josh Gordon loves that deep ball, no homo.
I guess all the T-Mobile fantasy football love y'all had last season was just a year too early.
It was a year too early. It's about to be in 2018.
Crank the service
for real this year.
It's time to get off. I switched to Verizon. I'm about to let go of the plan. It's time to get back to T-Mobile.
Yes,
and
sir.
you know what? Let me go on the flip side. This isn't my second pick, but it's just one that's attached to it just by that 6 degrees of separation. I like the Tyrod Taylor trade, and I actually like the fact that Buffalo signed A.J. McCarron too. I think that's going to be an underrated move. I think that actually affects them as far as what they do in the draft because it doesn't necessarily make a QB a priority now, so they don't have to sell their souls and necessarily move up to get one of these guys if they don't feel 100% sure about them. Go through and get playmakers on offense. Go through and get playmakers on defense. There's other areas that you can address in Buffalo now. Put talent and put more pieces around McCarron, around Shady, and build your team up. You were already a playoff team this past year. Build on that. Keep moving forward. So I think that one is tied with the T-Mobile. The other move that I think was absolutely genius, you played up on the emotions. You get them on a prove-it deal. You get them coming in motivated, ready to reestablish himself for a big payday. But it's also a wait-and-see kind of thing. I enjoy the move by the Packers to sign Muhammad Wilkerson. It automatically gives legitimacy to that front pass rush. It automatically puts them in a conversation as having one of the top 10 D-lines in football right now. That rotation with him, Clark, Daniels, Dean Lowry is going to do nothing but help out the edge rushers that they already have there. It'll keep the jerseys for Matthews and Perry clean. It impacts so much more at so many different levels, and it actually is going to go through adding that pressure to the quarterback to help out a horrendous secondary for Green Bay right now, which they're still going to be making adjustments and improvements on. But to get that man for $5 million, absolute steal.
And I heard some craziness of somebody saying, how much you make last year? What was it, 10, 15? How much you make last year with the Jets?
Who, Wilkerson? It was 8 figures because I know in the last 2 years he made like 22 million, something like that.
So they were complaining. I think it was 15 million. They were complaining. They were saying that they don't like the move of him going to Green Bay because he's making less, and he showed with the Jets that he was making the money, but he wasn't having the attitude to play. And I'm just like, you with Green Bay, why would you not have the attitude to fucking play? You got Aaron Rodgers across. I was like, what?
You want to play for a loser? B, his old defensive coordinator when he played his best football is the defensive coordinator in Green Bay now. It just kind of makes sense. You want to resurrect your career. You want to go back and get that next big payday. Get this 1 year prove it deal. You're not playing on a scrub team. You're actually be playing with a team that's contending for something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just makes sense for him all the way around.
It makes too much sense.
Base, you got $3 more million that you can get in incentives. So you can make almost $8 million, based on how you perform. And Green Bay is going to give you plenty of opportunities. To get them incentives. They're going to give you all the opportunities in the world to get them incentives.
They're not going to pull what is that? A Chargers? Not Chargers. Was it the Chargers that took?
It was a few teams that did whole moves like that last season. So folks getting ready to get close to incentives.
The Saints, they did it to Ingram. Ingram was about to get that 1,000 yards or something. They took. I was like, what?
Whole moves.
They did.
And that's super whole moves.
AUX.
And you've been a little modest because the Jimmy Graham signing was huge too, man. Just giving him another.
The Jimmy Graham signing is huge, but you got to remember that I'm still a little bit remorse from the Bennett deal. So tight ends right now are a sensitive issue in Green Bay. We just need Jimmy to show up.
What did I tell you about? What did I tell you about Bennett? What did I tell you about Bennett?
This is not an "I told you so" episode. That's not the name of this podcast. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, if Jimmy Graham could give you what he gave you in Seattle, what he did in Seattle, oh, my word.
Bro, if Jimmy Graham can give Green Bay, what he did last year in Seattle, which was a shitty year for him, that would have been the best numbers by a tight end in Green Bay in down there 8 years.
That's a damn.
I mean, you go through the last 2 seasons, Green Bay tight ends have caught, 5 touchdowns? Jimmy Graham last year on a down season, on a horrible season, caught 10.
He was killing. He was red zone reindeer over there. He gonna feel that Jordy Nelson red zone target a lot. It's gonna hurt Devontae Adams.
He's about to feel it. He's about to feel it in a lot more ways than one though, because I think that one of the other things that a lot of people don't remember about Jimmy, because he basically went to Siberia for his career being in Seattle. Jimmy is actually dangerous as a tight end when you split him out wide too. You can be so creative. You can be so creative when it comes to him. as far as taking advantage of that size, that area quickness, and stuff like that. Because I mean, you line them up on the outside. What are you gonna do with your coverage?
Saints
How you
did
gonna
it.
flip your coverage?
Saints did
You know
it.
what I'm saying? I mean, Saints worked that shit like a champion.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
This is
And then
true.
I like the Trey Burton signing for Mitch Trubisky. I think
Yes,
that's
sir.
I hate it.
A tight end that can
hate
do it all. I know he gonna have that bear funk on him. I get it. The
Hey,
Alshon.
Bears
No,
made
I just wanted them low key to pick him up and Graham because I wanted that 2 tight end set like Jameer and Keith Jackson back in the day.
Hey,
Nah,
Bears
I was
made some nice moves. Bears made some nice moves.
bro,
Getting
Bears redid they whole offensive lineup. Like they low key upgraded their offense significantly. Them punks are
Gabriel.
a problem.
Gabriel, and then you got Allen Robinson. Then you still
Yeah.
have
Still
Kevin
got
White
Meredith.
coming back.
Still
You got
Meredith.
Cameron Meredith. Yeah, they're
Although I
probably
will
George
say,
Howard.
for folks that are in the hunt, they went through and they tendered that restricted free agent offer into Cameron Meredith in Chicago, but they made a blunder because they tendered it at the spot where he got drafted. Well, Cameron Meredith went undrafted. So if somebody makes him an offer and the Bears don't match, they don't get anything for him.
Yeah, man, Cam Meredith was good. Was it 2 years ago? I think he was really balling.
Man, when
he got
Cameron
hurt.
Meredith is healthy, period, he was good.
He ran a lot of routes. He ran some really good routes.
Oh yes, he's nice. He's nice.
And then you got Jordan Howard back there. You know, DeMarcus was always hating on that man.
Man, because he trash, man.
Oh, look at you, dog.
You better stop talking down on the great value Le'Veon Bell.
Oh man, he was killing it.
He ain't got
Too bad. He couldn't catch nothing. Jordan Howard couldn't catch a cold in the Chicago cold air.
Oh wait, I forgot they had Tariq there. My bad.
They got Cohen. Yeah, Cohen out there. He gonna be
My
eating.
bad.
He gonna be
He's
eating.
the catch guy. He's the catch guy. My bad.
He's the catch guy that steps out of bounds on plays and gets called back.
Oh my god. Oh my god. He's the great value Darren Cole. He's the great value Darren Sproles.
Yeah, that is true.
Case got a injury guaranteed contract for $32 million. Shout out to him, man. Cool.
Hey, get paid, young man.
Get it, third war. You in the building?
Don't think I forgot. Shout out to Mr. Gotta Get the Bags, Mr. Secure the Bag for 2018, Sam Bradford.
Mr. Steal the Bag.
His agent is
$100 earned in his career at only 100 touchdowns passed.
Don't just stop there. Give it to Teddy too. Teddy got 15.
And Teddy ain't getting 20 the last 3 years though.
Bro, I'm still thinking it's impressive that they all got paid.
Sam Bradford's agent,
Jerry Maguire,
on steroids, homeboy, on straight up cream and the clear. If you a middle of the pack athlete, or if you're an athlete that can't stay healthy, you better sign up with that man. He gonna make sure your family eat for generations.
He knows something, like he got like the owner of the Cardinals like cheating or something, like
bro. He got something.
He got to be dating his daughter or something. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
They went out and showed they had sense with the contract they gave Glenn in 2 years for $8 million. Okay, but then
that's cool. $20 million. Like he was hurt last year. Are you sure you want to spend it?
And I'm like, oh, they got Sam for 2 years? No.
Man,
so who's Sam throwing to? Who's Sam throwing to? Jaron Brown and JJ Nelson now and Larry? Oh no.
Larry Fitzgerald and
Ricky Seals is seriously reconsidering.
Ricky Seals.
Larry,
hey,
you know what?
Ricky Rowe.
Larry said, I'm thinking about doing this Joe Thomas route. I might just say, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm out.
I'm retired. I'm gone. $20 million.
Wait a minute. They signed who? They signed who? Never mind. Hold on. I got to make a phone call.
And the Badgers go? Oh, hell no.
The Badgers go.
Yeah, he might be a Jet.
Yeah, that's going to be, hey, Jets looking nice.
Jets, man. Jets, they gave that money to Tremaine, even though Tremaine probably could have went anywhere because those damn taxes in New York gonna kill him. But
man, Tremaine should have went to
Green Bay wanted him bad.
I say he should have went there, or he should have went to the. I'm surprised the Browns didn't pay up to get him.
They could have used him, but I think
they could have really used him.
They could have used him because they're not playing Randall at corner. They're playing him at his natural position in free safety, which is a smart move. You're going to get a lot more out of that kid playing him at free safety. He doesn't have that constriction of having that man-on-man coverage responsibility all the time. So they still are in the mix to get a corner.
Yeah, no
so
doubt.
that would have been nice.
Any other moves that kind of surprised y'all? What y'all think about, like the Richard Sherman move? I know he.
No, that didn't surprise me.
I mean, that didn't surprise me. I was just like, as soon as he said he was taking meeting with them on the weekend, I was like, oh, yes, it's over. He about to be out of there. I mean, Dion Lewis to the Titans, I really didn't see that coming, man. That really threw me off. I was like, whoa.
Just when we thought Henry was fleeing clear.
And boy, he is not at all.
At least not
Malcolm Butler. I mean, the Texans striking out on him. I thought that was pretty huge.
Striking out in general with all that money.
I think the Texans dodged the bullet on that. I think
so too. I think so too.
I think that was too much.
And don't get me wrong, like I'm all for let's not pay these guys $15-13 million until they're 34 years old. I'm with it. But it is also a little frustrating that they weren't even able to bring in some of the smaller names. Like a Trey Burton would have been nice here. And I feel like his contract was pretty respectable for what you gave Ryan Griffin or even what you gave CJ Fedorich. So I feel like they could have been a little bit more aggressive trying to bring in the smaller players. Like
I don't think nobody likes the Texans.
I don't understand why EJ Gaines is not a Texan right now.
Nobody likes the Texans.
The one thing that hurt them is that alleged
their owner
they put out that they weren't going to entertain anybody that wanted to protest. That probably, whether people want to admit it or not, I'm pretty sure that has something to do with it.
To a lot of signings.
And I need a moment, fellas, if I may.
Oh, you can have a moment.
I need a moment. Just wanted to give a shout out to my homeboy. Oh, White Lightning. We've been through so much together.
Oh.
I watched you have your coming out party in the Super Bowl right there in Dallas, beating up on the Steelers. Watch you come out, make fabulous play after fabulous play. Oh, you got in sync with my favorite quarterback, and you guys made magic happen. It was beautiful. It was glorious. Glorious. I understand that it's a business. I understand that they, try to give you the low ball veterans minimum restructure, and you didn't want to take that, and you had every right not to. I understand the process. I will tell you, though, that you will always be loved in Green Bay. You will always be missed by Packers Nation. You will always be thought of as a Packer. Go ahead and go to Oakland, replace Crabtree. Give David Carr a reliable safety blanket. Or you can go through and show out with New Orleans. I would not be mad at you if you did that. But don't go to New England. Don't do that.
What?
You go to New England. Don't do that shit.
I just be like, why do you want to cut Crabtree? What's up with the bad luck for Crabtree?
I just think that it was a salary move, honestly, from everything I heard. I mean, hell, he was a much better receiver than Cooper.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. I'm just like, Jesus, Cooper is the one y'all need to get rid of. God.
No, let's not do that.
I wouldn't get rid of him, but I'd just be like, ooh. Can we replace him?
Look at this year as an aberration and hope that he bounces back this season.
Man, he had 2 years. He had 2 years of this.
He has to. At this point, Amari Cooper reputation is on the line, especially if Calvin really come in and kill the league. Oh my God, they'll never let him make it after that.
Like Julio and Calvin won't even take his phone calls at this point. Like,
bro, you can't catch, dog. How you getting here?
You ain't play for the Crimson Tide. I don't believe you. We don't drop shit like that, homeboy.
Yeah,
we don't drop shit like that, homeboy. Maybe you play for Tennessee. Maybe you play for Tennessee. I don't know.
I don't think there was no more shocking signings that was going on. Kind of everything felt cool.
No, nothing shocking for the most part. There was a lot of interesting moves as far as where people ended up, but nothing that I would say was shocking because all of the signings pretty much have actually addressed needs. So nobody just did some crazy shit and got somebody just to get somebody.
Was it Sutton? What's the Patriots left tackle?
Nate Solder.
I'm really impressed that the Giants happened to grab him from Texans. It looked like the Texans had that in the bag.
Well, hell, they had just got screwed by Jacksonville for Norwell, so they had to do something.
And also, I'm hearing that Solder has a sick child with cancer that's already has his established doctors down there, so he wanted to stay a little bit. He wants to stay a little bit closer to New York, but his doctor's already established in Boston, so it's a lot easier trip to go see your kid from New York than it is from Houston. So if it's a family thing, I really can't complain on it at all. But we were definitely in the running, and like I said, with no state taxes, Houston was right there. So with the 15.5 he got from New York, if we just offered him 14, maybe 13.5, it would have been pretty much the same thing. So we was right there. But I think at the end of the day, location to the child played a major point into it. So it kind of sucks, but hey, family first. So I can't blame him on that.
Yeah, got to worry about the family.
But outside of that, the Texans getting a full blown L from me as far as free agency is concerned. So
I can go for it.
So harsh. So
no,
harsh.
it's not hard. I mean, the only thing that could even get him back to like a B is signing the Honey Badger. At this point, with all this cap space, you haven't done nothing with it. You brought in a lot of mediocre backup. You brought in Jeff Allen's backup from KC. He's like, come on. Like, I get it. Fulton, he can play all across the line, center guard. If you got to play top, he can. But it's like, how many of these players that can do all the things across the line you're going to bring in? Same thing with Senio that came from New Orleans. He played center guard, tackle. So it's like you don't have no legit position players. Just
the Texans is just an F organization, man. They an F organization right now. The owner, man. You got to give it to the owner. You got to give it to the owner, man. I think he really kind of shot the Texans in the foot. I mean, that was just the craziest time.
The owner does not care because the owner has already been fully invested in the fact that no matter what kind of bullshit or shine that you put out on that field for these mindless sheep called Texans fans, y'all still buy out the building. You still sell out all the games, and he don't lose no money until folks stop showing up to look at that product on the field. He ain't never gonna care about what actually is out there on the field.
Sound like the Knicks organization.
And everybody wants to dodge that fact, but that is absolute fact. The Texans have sold out every single game in their history. There is no way in hell that should be the case with some of the product that they've actually put out on the field over the years. The only way that you get folks make changes and stuff like that when it comes to sports business, you got to hit them at that ticket window. You can't show up and sell out all these games and stuff like that and then beg for them to put out a better product. Why? It don't change his price point at all. At all.
He probably got to spend more money if he got to get them good.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding when you talk about all the former players that sit there and they call out the organization for caring more about off-the-field issues than actual on-the-field production. And even when Bob Wagner first got the team, he said he wanted to get the team to put back into this community, pretty much meaning he wanted hired athletic slaves. Like, he's not really caring about what kind of team he's putting out there as long as he has a team back in Houston that he has control over, that he paid with his own money, and that they're going to continue to sell out, just like you said. I understand the frustrations of being a Texans fan. I've had to deal with this the whole time since 2002, and I'm with you. It's piss poor that we even have to sit there and go through free agency like this, wondering who we're going to sign, what big name you can come in with. And at the end of the day, you're not going to do anything because the owner already has established in his mind, I'm not going to really bring out the pocketbooks like that because I know for sure I'm going to sell out the entire season next year. So why do it?
Hey, Griff. I think that after the draft, we might have to do that next podcast after the draft by ourselves because once the Colts surprise everybody and trade up to number 1 and get Saquon Barkley, DeMarcus might go to the hospital.
He might shoot himself.
He might go to the hospital. He might have a nervous breakdown on the spot. On the spot.
I will. Just because all I'm gonna see is Henry Barkley, Fournette.
The AFC South to running backs will be what the NFC South is to quarterbacks.
What?
That would be hellacious. That would be hilarious.
We don't have a Jameis Winston on our team. We got Lamar Miller.
It's called Lamar Miller. It's kind of
no. Come on.
Hey, Lamar Miller is. Hey, man, we got what's his name?
Hey, you know what? Let me say this.
We got Foreman.
Let me say this. Achilles is not an easy thing to bounce back from.
Lamar is not bad.
Hey, feature Mike DeMar.
The Texans just use him bad.
Exactly. That is. I'm so glad someone said he's not at all.
Use him bad. They make him look terrible with the situations that they put him in, and it's so unfair.
Why are you putting him between the tackles? Unfair. Like, let him eat up the side.
You're like Dominique Davis. You're doing him just like Dominique Davis, who you literally ground to dust and ran him out of football before his time because you ran him like he was Earl Campbell between the tackles all the time.
I felt like I agree with you. I feel like
it may look like we're using Lamar wrong, but when you have 18 different combinations on your offensive line, it is pretty fucking tough to get something going, and that should tell in the season results. Like, it wasn't a good team, especially on the Savage.
So many different
you watch
line. That's when you go outside
because
you watch them games that they don't go to the outside.
Lamar Miller with Deshaun Watson was incredible. He was an RB2 in fantasy. Sometimes RB1.
Deshaun Watson.
He was an RB2 because his touchdowns, his touchdown production went up. I mean, he looked good.
Yeah, Yes, because the offense was moving. So yes, he was actually
Because Deshaun was scrambling for his life, and people didn't have to go straight forward to get to him. That's why.
Yeah, Texans. I mean, they fixing the offensive line right now, so it's gonna be interesting how they're gonna look next year.
I mean, legitimately, go through, address the offensive line issues first and foremost, whether it be through draft or through free agency. Keep it frugal, which is what they're gonna do. Well, I mean, you say
they
that,
did some nice pieces on the. They made some nice moves
on the interior
out there.
Any outside rusher is going to eat, feast, run it.
Well, y'all just need to play with more heart, then, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm like shit. DeMarcus has no hope.
DeMarcus is shooting down every ounce of optimism we've been trying to.
Really, man, you got Deshaun Watson back there. I don't know.
Put the shotgun down, DeMarcus. Put the shotgun down. Damn.
No, you should have just paid Dwayne $2 more million. Looking back, that's the worst thing they could have did, not giving that man his money. But that's a conversation for another day.
The Texans
if
trash.
They paid him, he would have stayed. He was
the Texans trash. His freedom off the plantation.
Hey, like I said, the Texans trash. It's all about them Eagles. Let's go. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Oh my God!
Keep on signing them linebackers, huh?
That's the thing that's so funny to me, man. Like, don't sacrifice your chemistry to get quantity, man. That's the only thing that scares me about all the moves the Eagles have made this offseason with getting so many new guys on the team, man. Don't sacrifice the chemistry that got y'all to where y'all needed to be. Losing Patrick Robinson to me
is huge to me.
Absolute man.
That's huge to me. But like I think Fred said, I think we have Sidney. I think his name's Sidney Jones or something like that.
Yeah, the kid from Washington that played opposite Kevin King.
They got some good. They have some. That's what I like about the Eagles. The Eagles have depth. They have a lot of depth, and with their linebackers, they don't like to give a lot of reps to their linebackers because they want to keep them all fresh. And then the offense is still in place, and then you have my boys still coming back. Wentz. So it's like I just like Eagles' chances.
Wentz is gonna ruin y'all.
They're not going to, bro. Don't even get those repeat hopes up. It ain't happening.
Oh man, I mean, if we don't repeat, it's all good. But I know we're gonna be planning for the future, so we'll be
the funny part about that. The funny part about that is history actually is on your side in this regard. If the Eagles do not win the Super Bowl this year, or whoever wins the Super Bowl this year doesn't repeat the year after, this will be the first decade ever that we have never had a repeat champion. Ever since the NFL started in 1919. There's always been at least one repeat champion in the NFL. This decade, there has not been a repeat champion yet.
Let's go, Eagles. Let's go. Let's get it.
Not happening, bro.
But that being said, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
You got the.
I mean, I like our. It's our schedule gonna be tough. Our schedule, they're gonna play. They're gonna have a tough schedule, but hey, it's.
Well, I mean, they're gonna have a first place schedule and stuff like that. But I'm just intrigued because a lot more of the teams now are going to and we know how it works when it comes to the whole tradition of once you're the champion, you got the bullseye on your back. Everybody's gonna give you that A game, blah blah blah. But I think that it's a very interesting time for the Eagles as it pertains to their title defense because there's so many teams in their own conference that are making similar moves to what the Eagles did last year. The Rams are going to be a huge problem. The Vikings are going to continue to be a huge problem. You got to see in your own division. You got to see in your own division if Dallas or the Giants don't.
I ain't worried about Dallas. I'm worried about the Giants, but I ain't worried about Dallas.
Hey, you say what you want. I mean, it's been crazier things that I've seen happen. It's not like they're that many pieces away from being a problem either. I mean, that's the thing that's so funny about it. You got so many teams that had bad seasons last year, but it's such a quick fix for them to get right back into contention. It's not one of those things of, oh, you know, they the Browns now or they the Dolphins now. They about to just suck forever. No, it's one or two pieces that need to be put in place and they're right back in the mix again. And that makes this fun coming into this season. It makes it really, really intriguing on the NFC side. The AFC side to me is going to be more of a free-for-all because you're having a lot of more established teams kind of starting to fall to the wayside, kind of eroding, getting older, having to go through and start rebuilding. The AFC, I think, is going to be real wide open, and I think that is music to Jacksonville's ears.
Jacksonville got that squad?
Yep. That's 100%. Man, anything else y'all got for the people?
Nah, not really. What you should be watching is the shows we always keep telling y'all about. That's going to be Grownish, which I just watched today. Blackish is coming back. Empire is about to come back in another, what is it, next week?
Get on that Shy, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, get on Shy.
A big fuck you to Disney and ABC for not having the balls to play the episode of Blackish where they embraced the concept of talking about players and athletes kneeling in protest. You put that shit on the shelf and you covered it up, and y'all are some heartless cowards for that shit. I don't give a fuck what you did with Black Panther. If you're gonna embrace it and try to be about that culture, be about all the culture. It's not about being comfortable. It's about embracing conversations. You already have arguably one of the most openly discussed, openly socially impactful shows in Blackish. The bread and butter, the thing that makes us love Blackish so much is that they talk about and embrace subjects that normally would not come up on TV, and you wanted to take one that would arguably be the bell cow conversation and decided to put that on the shelf for whatever reasons. You're heartless, you're ballless. Don't try to cover the shit up and throw me some more T'Challa shit out of the way, because if you're not going to embrace it totally, I'm not going to believe you're on part of it.
That man said, fuck you in the set you claim.
Gutless move. You go through and you have a fantastic show. You have an audience that feeds and actually likes to entertain dialogue on the concepts that you put out in order to come up with creative solutions, and yet and still that topic seems to be so toxic, but I understand it because it's so toxic to your wallet that you didn't want to get these fat cats mad at you or lose any commercial sponsorships or anything like that. And we can talk about slavery reparations and cultural appropriation and all that good stuff and put it in there and have it in a joking manner, but have it with a serious talk and stuff like that. But that don't affect the money, so it don't care. Them colors don't matter. But when it comes to protesting and the stuff that Trump wants to talk about, this, that, and other, you're going to turn a blind eye to that. You're going to sit there and you're going to soft shoot that all day and hide behind your shield and your Monaco. We Disney, we ABC, blah, blah, blah. Miss me with that bullshit entirely. Fuck y'all to the ninth power. Everybody go see Tomb Raider because I think it's going to be really good. I believe it comes out next week. I saw dope previews for John Wick 3. I saw a dope preview for Pacific Rim Uprising.
What? When you see a preview for John Wick 3?
I'm sorry, not a preview, but a thing announcing that they were filming.
I was about to say, damn. I might say, damn, they just started filming.
Hey, quick.
I said, damn, niggas quick.
They got a nice trailer out for Pacific Rim Uprising for those folks that actually
that looks
like
interesting.
Yeah, it looked pretty good. I'm interested to see. They're also put out information that they're working on a Spawn reboot. And as far as Netflix and Hulu and stuff like that, like they said, just the usual. Keep watching.
Well, that's it, man. I'm glad Wilson calmed down now. I was about to have you drink something, man.
Man, he was going ham. He was letting
I'm good, man. I'm good, but honestly, fellas, in my heart of hearts, I was disappointed because one of the things that impressed me so much with ABC and Disney was that they actually had the guts to put out a show like Blackish, which kind of goes against the grain in the first place, but it encourages conversations that need to be had on issues that pertain to us in society in general that may not already come up in regular conversation. People that are usually comfortable with certain concepts, they bring it to you in a way where it's informative, it makes you think about it, but it doesn't make people feel uncomfortable about accepting it, embracing it, or being willing to talk about it.
Who published the article saying that they had an episode like that?
Oh, you can look that up on the net. There's many articles about that. If you notice, there hasn't been a new episode of Blackish out for like 2 or 3 weeks.
That is true. This is true, but Grownish is still holding it down. I did watch Jumanji finally. Phenomenal movie. Really funny.
I loved it.
Really funny. Really, really funny.
Yeah, and I tried to go watch Strangers, but my clerk told me the whole movie, so I decided to go see Game Night. So, yeah.
I heard Game Night was really funny.
Game Night was, bro, when I say she told me the whole movie, she told me the whole movie.
You raggedy ass bitch.
She told me the whole movie, but
she'd have been so fired.
I would have been so pissed.
Because, like I said, she said, go see Game Night. We went to see Game Night. It was cool. Then we leave.
I wouldn't have made up for it. It's the principle behind the thing. Really? I had my mouth all set for hash, and you ain't got nothing in here but sauerkraut.
Hey, but it was cool because if I wouldn't have seen the other movie, I wouldn't have been able to see people get dropped off in a limo at the movies. Like, that really just...
Hey, they did. They put the income, the refund checks.
Income checks
is here.
It's real.
They put it to you.
Great during tax season, man. Don't hate on them people.
Not
they last rob before they get evicted. It's all good.
I don't have.
Oh yeah, they trying to feel fancy one more time.
You can't sit there and ride in the limo on half off night. That's $200 for a $10 ticket.
Yeah, you tripping, dog. You might as well get dropped off at iPick.
You know,
they look good though. You know what I'm saying?
You might as well pull up to the actual
They had-
theater. You might as well pull up to the studio where they was actually filming the movie. Goddamn me!
Just walk up in
They
there.
stepped out of that limo with them fresh J's on though.
What? Ready to go see this movie and sit in this darkness. Can't nobody see my outfit.
Can't nobody
baby,
see
you can't
nothing
get
you
popcorn,
wearing.
though. We can't afford no popcorn though. No
Yeah,
popcorn.
no popcorn, baby.
Popcorn.
Sneaking no snack. Bring your big bag. Bring your.
I thought you said you brought the hot Cheetos. No.
All the money went to the limo.
This
Yeah,
all. No
I'm
dinner,
done.
baby. No
They
dinner.
want tickets. That's it.
I just want to know are they going to Uber back or is the limo? We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out later.
Like, I mean, are you spending the night at the house? Or you good for Uber or what? I mean, I'm done.
I'm done for the day. It's on you now.
I already told
funny.
my homeboy to pick me up. He was already coming up to the movies anyway, so I'm riding back with him. What you gonna do? You gonna hold up or blow up? I'm just,
I'm out.
That's funny.
I'll DM you tomorrow. I don't got your number. I'll DM you.
Good movie though. Good movie though.
Well, yeah, man. As for now, this has been Fish and Grits, and you guys have just been served.
Y'all enjoy.
Peace.